Hello, Texas, and welcome to the Hello Texas podcast with Tim Murphy and Steve Peters. This week, Steve and Tim talk with Central Texas personality Jeremy Hart. They talk about his podcast RocketFarm, his job at SpaceX, his time as a radio DJ, and his company 317 Productions. We hope you enjoy the conversation.
Oh, was I supposed to stop?
I don't know. It's your fault.
That don't matter. The sync's on. We can edit wherever, right?
Well, I guess we'll start. Hello, Texas.
I'm Steve. This is Tim. And when we did this podcast journey, we were talking about different kind of guests that we could bring on the air. And Tim made the comment, well, it shouldn't be rocket science.
Yeah, this isn't hard.
So we got a rocket scientist here with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Our friend Jeremy Hart from...
I appreciate the compliment. I wouldn't say I'm a rocket scientist.
Well,
I turn wrenches. I do work with a rocket scientist.
Every time we try to ask you, you're like,
well,
we don't talk about that, and so nobody knows. So as far as we're concerned, you're a rocket scientist.
Those that don't know, Jeremy, you work for SpaceX.
I work for SpaceX in McGregor, yes.
SpaceX is in the middle of nowhere right down the road in McGregor, Texas.
That's right.
We couldn't be prouder of SpaceX in our little community. It's the coolest thing.
I get mixed results. Proud is one of them. That's a good one.
Or annoying that the rockets go off in the middle of the night.
Our pictures are falling off the walls.
Yeah, like 8:45 at night. Yeah. Every night, 8:45, you can count on the stuff on the walls rattling.
They're testing the stuff going to Mars.
Well, it's just a real quick cap, because I do have to be careful what I can say and what I can't say.
And I wouldn't want to
There's
put you in that
proprietary information, but I
Nobody's-
am proud of what I do.
I know you may just see it, Alon, so we
you
good.
feel free. Nobody's
No,
watching this.
what I will say is very proud. I mean, the SpaceX team is amazing what they do. Way ahead of the game, leading the industry, and just bringing the space. I guess times are different now, right? Like,
is it a space frontier still?
There's definitely going to have to be something, right? Like, we as humans, for one, I mean, think about some of the things you can do in space is mining, right? Which I know sounds crazy. I almost said people, the species itself, no matter where you live or what you do, you need perishables. They're mining, right? And so the Earth, she can only give so much, obviously, right? And so at what point do we run out of resources completely, regardless of what the resource is? But if you can launch a probe to the asteroid belt, and he just takes a little core sample, you know what I mean, and brings it back, well, that would take your crew probably years, or that, you know what I mean, or whatever, you know what I mean? So I think as a future stability thing for the human species, I think it's a good thing. I think, our grandchildren down the road, instead of going to Vegas for vacation, they would just take a little probe and get up in one of these little habitats that floats around the Earth maybe for the weekend, and then you get your capsule and come back home.
I've never considered that.
I love listening you talk about it. One of the reasons you're here is you're a fellow podcaster.
Yes.
You do RocketFarm.
RocketFarm.
With Abby
Lee, 317 Productions.
You're the RocketMan and she's the Dairy Queen.
That's right. It came together, just because of that. Like, we're just blue collar workers. Wanted to just, hey, what's something that we can do to help promote? At the time, I was very involved in radio, and I fell in love with promoting and just trying to get the word out.
We want to circle back to that, because that was my first reason. My first idea was because of his radio involvement.
Right. Well,
we'll come back to it.
Yeah, you've also been a DJ with Troubadour.
Troubadour Country Radio was a great time, great crew and staff over there.
I want to get to that
and do a lot of things.
Back to the 317. Sorry, that was my fault.
With all those three tied together, if there's ever a radio station on the moon, you're in the lead contention to be
that's
the
what
DJ
we're
on the
hoping
moon.
for. I just want to have the first broadcast signal that
I see the angle.
You have the voice for that. And
I see the angle now.
Yeah,
I do too. Actually, we'll talk after this.
We're trying to set up the first radio station on the moon.
No, but when the two characters, Abby Lee, if I may for a minute, she and I, really dear friends, but her character it's out there in a good way, but so is mine. Right, and like when we worked together and just started recording together, just playing around, we had something, and then we're like, man, what do we call this? She goes, and Abby and her little, she's a little firecracker. She goes, well, dang, it ain't rocket science, Jeremy. You work on rockets. My family owns a dairy, and I'm big in ag. Let's do RocketFarm. And so it became RocketFarm, man. It was it. And then, we wanted to talk tech stuff, and now as well as what's going on in the agriculture world, which here in Central Texas, where we're located, is...
We'll get to that, too. Where did you want to start?
The Army.
So you were in the Army.
So yeah, Army was a disciplined years of my life. You know, I needed it back then when I went in. Little did I know about all the September 11th. When I joined, it was peacetime. It was the year 2000. You know, my mother's a single parent of 3. She couldn't afford to send us to school, you know. So we joined, me and my brother joined for the
So was you a turd head as a kid?
I was a big turd head. I gave my mother so much hell.
Right.
And I grew up on tough love, though. Mom, it was, you know.
Single mom?
Single mom.
How many brothers?
1 brother, 1 sister. It was 3 of us all together. And so,
you're from Michigan originally?
Yeah, Detroit. Born and raised in Detroit area.
You and Ted ought to be best friends, right?
You know, Uncle Ted, you know, yeah. And I've actually done some work for Ted. Funny story real quick. When I was in high school, we needed extra money. A buddy, I bought my first pickup truck. I was so proud. My buddy goes, let's make it make money for you. I go, yeah. And he goes, there's this festival where they're just little kiddie rides. And if you can haul some of these kiddie rides at this field, and we'll set them up. And then all I had to do was haul the ride, right? Cool. So we go to this little storage area, pick up these. I'm hauling like this little Ferris wheel thing. My buddy's hauling some sort of little spinny thing. And there's like a fleet of us. Like there's other people there hauling stuff. So
I'm seeing like 20 vehicles hauling these.
So we roll into Jackson, Michigan, and it's Nugent. It's one of his big the bash, not the Whiplash Bash. That's a New Year's Eve. But anyhow, he did this annual thing every year, and he had kiddie rides. He had rides there for the kids. So here we are. I'm like, oh, this is cool. All right, you know, Uncle Ted's playing. Their band's gonna be performing later. And so we get there, and then I realize I'm stuck because not only did I haul it there, but I had to operate it, which luckily enough, it wasn't it was just on off, some safety stuff.
Go ahead, you can say it.
Yeah.
It don't take a what?
Don't take a rocket
Little
science.
kids flying through the air.
So that's why the RocketFarm thing works so well. We'll come back to that.
That is great.
But long story short, early morning, we're all set up, ready to go. Gates are getting ready to open up. You know, people are starting to show up. And here comes that old pickup truck, the zebra striped Bronco.
Yeah.
And it was Ted, and he was going around thanking everybody. Hey, man, thanks for what you're doing. Appreciate your help and all this. You know, if there's anything I can do. And I was just like, yeah, I'm not familiar with Jackson. I mean, mind you, that's about a good 3-4 hour drive away from where I'm from, you know. And so I'm not familiar with the area. And I'm like, is there like a local Kroger or some, you know, an H-E-B, if you will, around town?
I know what Kroger's are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got it.
So
not many of these people.
And he goes, yeah, no. He goes, he goes, hop in, man. So here I am in the Bronco with Ted Nugent.
No.
He's taking me to the store because I didn't bring a cooler or nothing. And people are like waving, and I'm riding shotgun like.
How old were you?
At the time, I was high school, 17.
Nice.
17.
But you knew who you was with.
At 17, of course you did.
You know, bragging rights for years. I mean, people are like, shut up, Jeremy. We've heard that story already. Like, did I tell you the time? You know, so.
No, I jump at every opportunity to tell it too.
You know what? What that taught me, and people have their opinions about Ted Nugent all they want, but I will say this. As a human being, and being in situations like that, I think that plays a big role in my radio career later, where I don't get starstruck really. I can be comfortable being around artists. When me and Abby first started 317, Abby, I'm going to tell you a little bit. When we started 317, one of the things we were doing, I don't remember what the show was, but like Co was there and a couple other cats.
Parker's name comes up.
Yeah. So we're sitting there in the green room here at the backyard, as a matter of fact, you know, and this is when Abby was new. We were going to see if she could fit in, you know what I mean?
Sure, yeah. Oh,
and she did totally fine. No embarrassments, no starstrucks or nothing. On the drive home,
just throwing her in there like that.
On the drive home, she looked at me and she goes, "Do you realize I just had Cole Wetzel's junk in my face the whole night and I didn't even flinch about it or whatever?" You know what I mean? And I go, "Okay, so you don't get starstruck and you don't get overzealous around these artists. That's great. This is going to work. We can do this. We can."
And here's what you know. She hangs around enough. The next time Cole Wetzel's junk is in here, she'll do like everybody else and punch them.
Yeah.
You know.
It was just one of those moments where
put that thing up.
You know, the industry is hard. I got a lot of guys that's like, man, I'd love to do some radio or something, or be on your podcast, or do something. And I think, man, it takes a special character to be able to do what we do and to be in this industry, because it's, for one, it's our brand, it's our name, and two, we want to give a product. And I want to be like, when artists come in, I want them to know that all I want to do is let everybody in the world know you're here. Right. How can I do that? Help me help you.
That's what this is.
You know? And I get a kick out of that because that's their life. That's how they put bread on the table. And when they know you're genuinely helping them, then that gets back to that scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Doesn't that feel good though? Whenever you're sitting with an artist that truly is truly grateful that you have an interest in them,
a like interest
to promote what they're doing, and I love that. That's a big part of what
and
we do this for.
We're such big fans of the music that, I mean, we're promoting the drummers and the bass players and the guitar players that don't get the spotlight. And that's how much we're into it. And to post, I'll drop Chase Satterwhite's name with Shane Smith. Posted that, and boy, it exploded. And I was like, why is it exploding? Because his mom shared it, and his brother, or his family shared it.
Oh, yeah, we start getting into the mechanics of how social. The cool thing is for us, we get to see the other side of how social media can
it's
work
a great tool
for a positive.
It's a great tool to be used properly, and you know, the genuine expression of thanks, man, thanks for plugging me, or thanks for having me on. At the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm going, no, thank you.
Thank you for taking the time.
I mean, I'm just an average.
Like us,
I'm like,
going, who am I?
Yeah, I'm nobody, dude. Like, you're up on stage. You're the entertainer.
Yeah.
But there is that what do you call it? Like unity, the work. It's almost like a family. Like now you're part of the team.
So let me switch gears on that.
Yeah.
So from your radio days, and this is the last thing I'll have for the radio days.
You talk for 3 hours about it. I don't care.
Whatever.
I might have something more to talk about that in a little bit.
I'll
say that in the end.
Now think about this, and I know you'll know that time, because I remember the first time it happened to me. But the first time you're flooded with all these artists and people who are so grateful for what you're doing. But think back, that first artist that came through, there was a complete prick. That first artist that came through, and
I have one in mind, but I'm not going to throw it down.
No, don't say the names. We're not saying the names. But whoever that is, and I see it on your face right now, because whoever that person was, they walked in and they felt like that you were beneath them.
Yeah.
They were
egos,
well above
the egos were way
being
up
there. Yeah. How disappointing? What I want to know, how disappointing was that for you the first time? What was that feeling like?
Well, I'll tell you, that's a good question, because that same exact person, I worked with them again just to see if maybe they were having a bad day, maybe stuff was going on backstage I didn't know, maybe like gear, the show must go on, right? And a lot of times that we see things, we have the privilege being able to see a little bit of the backstage and lighting stuff, if you will.
So we get to
I want
see
to come back to that. It's a
the
show
front polish part. We see that,
you see
and the backside.
Right. And so artists, maybe something's going on. The TM
They're
is
human too.
Yeah. So I gave a second chance, and it wasn't as bad as the first time, but
TMs
yet the ego,
are dicks.
but the ego was still there. The ego was still there, and so then I realized, okay, well, it's industry. You're going to have that. Some cats are going to have that.
The ego, they're flying high.
And so
That's
a
great analogy.
I thought, okay, well, this is your industry. You got to have that confidence. But some artists, I think, are finding how much to have and how much not to, and how much to just, I don't know. I'm not an artist.
They're figuring it out,
I'm not
too.
a successful artist. I couldn't tell you the formula, but I know there is a formula. And I can see in the different artists, every one of them has their own formula and how they work it. It's just funny how you see trends and patterns that some formulas actually work really, really well, and some that don't. When you set about being a dick, that ain't going to get you nowhere, because people aren't going to want to promote you. They're not going to want to work with you. They're not going to want to, and that's what you don't want.
But the first time you experienced it, what was that like?
It was, man, maybe I did I do something wrong? I thought it was me. I thought maybe did I offend him somewhere? Did I make him not want to?
And that's the other.
So
it's a crappy feeling.
Yeah, I didn't.
For me,
like
I
it.
felt betrayed the first time it happened to me when there's a well-known artist that's beloved, and I watched he or her get off the bus and just scream at somebody that had not put the merch out right or something, and then turn around and go, "Hey!" I was like, "Oh, that's not real," and so I felt betrayed, and then
I can see that. I can see how you would have that, like, man, I've done all this for you, and now you're just going to be like, F you,
And it takes a little bit to get around that.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
And it takes, I think for me, it's coming back to the idea that realizing that they're human too. And I don't know what it's like to have, I don't know what it's like to have 100 people
right. And
have an interest. I don't.
I'm lucky if I get 3 people show up to my birthday party.
Bro, right? So what would it be like to have thousands of people? I couldn't imagine. There's got to be something that's got to help keep the ego in check and that kind of thing. And I think it says a lot about you, though. The first thing that you come to is go, you know what? Maybe they were having a bad day.
Right.
And where with me, I'd be like, you know what? Beep, 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 beep.
And that's one of the things I've had to learn. We talked about some of these people I've watch in this industry and come up, and that was one of the things I've learned is that you never know. You got to be ready. Whenever you go into any event, you never know how that artist is going to be. You don't know if they slept cranky on the bus or whatever, or who knows, right? So first of all, address who you are. Let them know right away what you're there for. That way they know you're not there trying to freeload. You're not wasting their time. Like, hey, man, and I made it, accustomed to, as I was a greenhorn in radio, I was like, don't ever go up to the artist. Go up to the TM or something. Don't ever talk to the artist. If they're going to let you shoot their show, you go to the TM and say, hey, man, I'm with so-and-so. Would you mind if I shoot? And I'll share everything, email, and, I'm not selling anything. I'll everything I shoot, I'll email you.
Yeah, that's how we handle it. That's how I handle it.
No, I totally don't. No, that shit's mine. I'm going to sell every bit of it if I can make some money off of it. If you want it from me, you can buy it too.
What I've also learned is by having that approach,
that works too.
By having that approach, it pays dividends because then it puts you in a position to be there to where they're going to say, hey, next time we're in Waco, that dude did great work. Then when they come knocking, you can say, okay, man, well, and great work, both of you guys. Your team's amazing. And when I caught the Shutterbug, that's why I was around events because of what I'm trying to do, but I'm also around events because I love watching you guys work and see what you do. I'm studying how you're doing. I'm studying what you're carrying. When you go remote, when you move around.
Watching me work is eventful. I will tell you that. Watching Steve work is like watching a 50-something-year-old man just walk around the room and talk to everybody.
Depends where you're at.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
But with me, you're seeing work happen. It is artful. It's pretty amazing.
I think the biggest kick I get out of you guys is that we are all like-minded, and I'm humbled by the fact that anytime I've come to you or anybody else around this world and industry, they're very open to like questions or anything, and because they see that it's a genuine question,
and I've run into that for the most part. Most everybody from the photography side of the music industry that we associate with, that I know, I don't know too many of them that I ever called or I could call and go, hey man, I've been struggling with trying to get this right, or I'd like to start doing things kind of like this, and I notice you do that. Can you point me a direction?
Oh yeah,
they're always open. I will tell you, I have not found that to be the case through all photography genres.
Yeah, I think Texas music photography is a little bit different.
I think so.
My first year doing this, somebody stole a Kevin Fowler photo I took and was using it for their promotions with their logo on it. Oh. And I didn't know what to do.
Know your Ted story?
Well, I'm fixing to drop. I don't know if I told you this story. I didn't know what to do, so I called. I texted the only person that I knew would know the answer to automatically, which was Todd Purifoy, which is my Michael Jordan of photography.
Okay.
And not only did he answer the question, he called me and we talked for 2 hours.
See,
and I'm on the phone going with my wife. Shut up, it's Todd Purifoy. Yeah. And I just couldn't believe I was talking to him.
He is a mentor,
and he told me 1,000 things that I didn't even ask about that I use to this day about how I do what I do.
Jay Trevino was that guy for me.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No,
but that's what's great. They spread the knowledge. It almost, like you're talking about making you feel good. When you can give a tip to somebody who's picked up a hobby that you love,
and they're interested,
and they're like in it, like, and and you go, oh, I remember trying to figure that out myself. Don't do this. Do this. Don't make the same mistake I made, or
you can screw it up if you want to, and you'll learn how to fix it.
And the answers I was getting was, oh, you need to sue. You need to do this. You need to do this. And Todd basically said, it's a cool picture, isn't it? And don't just let them know that it's yours. And that's what I did. And the guy said, oh, I'm so sorry. And he said, what do you want me to do? I'm like,
that's because you're a professional. You may have came across somebody who isn't a professional and doesn't realize the toes that he or she stepped on, and may not have realized what they did was way wrong.
That may be me. Oh, no, sorry. Other side.
That's a learning curve, right? And see, I've learned things by watching others, and that's like I didn't go to no big music school for radio or any big product. I mean, I'm going to. I want to now that I have the bug. I want to further my education, but you learn school hard knocks in the trenches. Be out there on the scene. Be out there digging. Shoot.
Even with you come through this whole thing. I don't know if this part got called in the first part at first little thing or not. Either way, you kind of come along into the radio part the same people I did with Jennifer Allen and Jim Alvarado, and so I know who you cut your teeth with, and that's pretty cool.
Both very knowledgeable. Very knowledgeable.
Jim Alvarado's got a drive and a passion for what he does for Troubadour Country Radio that is hard to match with anybody else. And I believe Jennifer Allen has a very specific and I don't even know what the right word is. She has a gift
She's so
for the
much
art of the business. She sees
Yes.
this. Most people see
Good way
a
to put it.
small
Yes.
part of the business here and there. She has a 2 miles out,
Right.
if you will, drone picture of
and
the
that's
business.
what made them such a dynamic team when they first
Yeah.
launched. They worked so well together.
But you know, you still had to figure some stuff out.
you're going to.
How much stronger are you because you had to figure out some of that stuff and you didn't have somebody holding your hand the whole time? How much stronger are you now because of it?
I would say I'm strong enough to want to continue. It didn't push me out of the box.
Yeah.
It come close.
Sure.
It come close because I thought, especially when I'm around, and I'm not an ass kisser. One of the things my dad told me: don't ever kiss ass. You'll never know who your next boss is. Be the guy that works hard, because that next boss doesn't care. He just wants a guy that works hard.
Yeah. That's good advice.
But
That is good
what
advice.
I'm saying about it though is like being around guys like you or other cats I've been like Jody and Stephenville. Like I learned by watching how you do and what makes it work for you.
It's like
And-
Jody, Texas Homegrown Radio.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Jody Lee, love them. Anyhow, what's great about it gets back into what we were just talking about. Jody never once thought twice, and he told me, man, if you need this, just give me a call. Whatever you need this, give me a call. And
Yeah.
that's this industry, and that's what I love about it. And so to keep me moving forward, it's those moments that keep me in the game, knowing
Sure.
that no matter what, I'm gonna have somebody that'll have my back. If I make a fool of myself, hey, get up, dust myself off. That's okay. Whatever. We'll move on.
So how'd you get from? I want to move on from the radio.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay. So the podcasting started from while I was on the radio. That it was new. The podcasting was just starting to launch off.
Yeah.
And I was telling, man, I want to do some podcasting. And at the time, other things were happening in the program. I don't know if there was space available for that. And so
While you was
what-
DJ and Troubadour.
when I was on radio, and so
Yeah.
we discussed it, and like, hey, man, it's a free country. If you want to do podcasting, that's great, And so I went off and started
Doing your own
research
thing.
and development podcasting. Hence,
That's your
Abby.
thing.
Abby came into the picture. So Abby and I were local friends in McGregor, and great. Her family, everybody's awesome people, and her energy was so much. And I got to thinking, that's a great co-host right there. Like she fits the
She's
bill.
a lot prettier than my co-host too. So.
Well, she's got the looks, but her personality is there. Oh, like I said, these two here, you guys are like the marriage couple right here. I love it. It's awesome. So, how do you turn down the possibility of creating a
Easily.
program?
No. Oh. No, sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
my
distract.
interruption. That was rude.
No, it kicked off, and then me and Ab got together, and then we started, and then I got another buddy of mine who had a location, a brick and mortar, and he goes, I'll tell you what, I love what you guys are talking about doing. I think there's a future here. You can use my facility to do it. And I looked at Abby and I go, if we don't take advantage of this situation right now, I mean, we don't pay.
So I think I know where your studio is.
Yeah.
And it is a nice studio.
We have, man, it's taken some work to put it together because the vibe that we wanted to have in there is, I wanted it to just be a cool, chill place you can come, where we can sit down and we can talk. Like if you're an artist, we can talk about some new release or something you got going on. And I got a little acoustic stage set up where if you want to get up there and, camera 2, if you want to get up there and jam out a tune real quick, I mean, it's all part of the program. And also it comes into play too. I'm using the podcasting studio for things I never thought I was going to be able to. I have a program about small business. Like our advertising and what we want to do is I want to gear towards small business using the big company software. I'm using the same editing software we did on radio, but I'm charging small business owners that don't have the big advertising budget pennies at $1, and I'm just giving them a product that they can take to any multimedia outlet.
Yeah.
And they already got all they got to negotiate is their time slot. And see, that's another trick too. I always tell my clients, I go,
Where's
always-
he been all of our life?
I go, always negotiate your time slot first, because if they know you already have a product, they're going to jack up the price in their time slot because they're expecting you to want to use them for product. And so it's been an eye-opener. I've been a lot of learning curves and how to figure the game out.
We really want to pick your brain.
I
on
want to
some of
talk to
that.
you guys about it.
Yeah.
I want to
Why
share
are
the
you-
knowledge. Well, I want to share the knowledge because there's
But I
enough
don't
for
want to
all
share
of
it with
us.
everybody. Not yet.
There's enough for all of us at the top, right? It's
But
lonely at the top.
can we get to the top?
I don't
first?
know. I'm trying myself, and if I can bring my people up with me.
You need to do a podcast about how to do all this.
Well, we have a
Well,
couple
let us get
programs
there
coming.
first.
I'm coming.
Slow
I
down.
got a
He's
couple
already got
things.
it.
I love you guys are excited about it.
We can follow him. We don't have to tell everybody else. Let's get up there first before we start telling the other people.
Well, I'm not there, but I'm going to tell you what, the minute I do, I'm bringing you guys with me.
I'm happy to be there.
Listen, have we met? I will call you at 11 o'clock in the morning.
So part of, I guess, my problem is I have a hard time going to my buddies that own businesses and saying, hey, we got a podcast. Give me some money, and here, we'll talk about you. I'm just not a salesperson that way.
Well, I got something. I'm not either. Marketing is not my forte. I'm an aerospace mechanic. Okay, I wrench on aircraft and rockets for a living. I've done it for years. In the military, I worked on helicopters,
Because those things make sense. People don't.
People and business is it's ruthless. And by surrounding yourself around people who run successful business and surrounding yourself around people who are in the industry that you're interested in doing, because people say, well, you got a knack, you can do it. You go, yeah, but I don't know how. That's where I think all of us have something to do for each other. And promoting is one thing that I wanted to brand our company on. I don't care if I'm promoting musicians, if I'm promoting another kick-ass podcast,
Same, yeah.
Because that's great. Because other people are going to be like, man, can we come talk about our program? Come on, let's do it, man.
Yeah.
Because it's awesome,
Yeah.
And
so tell me what
I want to do for business what we did in radio for music. Bring in upcoming artists that nobody's heard of. Well, let me do that with small business that nobody's heard of. Let's bring upcoming small business and get a platform for them to get their word out, but at an affordable cost. It ain't going to break them.
And kind of tell a little bit of their story and the process. Because
I think a little bit more in depth than a 30-second commercial.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
When you start learning a little bit about a person's product and you learn a little bit about their ethics to bring you that product, I think we live in a time where there's absolutely, if you can figure out how to write the SEOs and you can figure out how to get everything in the field for somebody, there's a market for it.
There is. And if you do a very good job at it, they will promote you in return. So gets back to that scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. They know other business owners, and they're going to say, these guys did us awesome. Check this out. And they're going to say, I want that. And that's the niche.
The word of mouth.
That's the niche. That's just like the podcasting. You create a show that is so cool, people are going to want to advertise on it. That's awesome. Let's do that. Let me shoot an ad for you. We'll put it on. And you get a tool. You get a
Backyard.
Yeah. Hey.
Bar, staging, grill.
Let's talk a little bit more about podcasting. We're taking a quick break.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
We come back with the RocketMan.
I want to get a little bit in depth into RocketFarm, about what you've been talking about and how it happened.
I've got more. RocketFarm was one of many shows that 317 will be producing.
And I want to learn about all of them.
So
cool.
Let's come back.
Let's do it.
We'll be right back.
Be right back.
Sunburn.
This is Tim, Melissa, and Steve at Larry Joe Taylor. Hello, Texas.
Hello, Texas. We're doing good to be here right now, I think, sometimes.
Yeah.
I think I find myself, I don't know if you guys do or not, but I find myself taking on more than I can handle.
Our dreams are way big.
Like I'm not a graphics artist, but I find myself staying up late at night, YouTube and tricks to doing some graphic arts when I need to not be focusing on that. I need to be focusing on the production of my show and what I'm doing.
So you got to figure out when fiber's going to be your friend and one day.
We're back. So
are we back?
We've been back for a whole
sorry.
minute.
Hi.
We were getting
Hello, Texas. We're back.
Return. Hey, what's
She
happening?
didn't clap us in?
No, we didn't
Oh.
get clapped in. But we just started, so we're talking shop here with Jeremy Hart with 317 Productions.
Let me get back up to the table, boys.
RocketFarm, XTJ, ex-Army guy, SpaceX RocketMan.
I want to move in more to the podcast.
Yeah, let's talk about RocketFarm.
Well,
my first question is, I don't see you as an ag guy, and all of a sudden you're doing an ag podcast, and you're good at it. It's not just you're not just sitting there, and I think you're good at it because you ask questions.
Well, I tell you what, the trick I found that works for me, and everybody has their niche, but one of the major things that worked for me is that my dearest friends here in Texas are an agriculture family, right? Huge farm, row crop. I mean, and so when hanging out with them and witnessing that, I have taken a fond interest because it's something different than I do. So then I started reading. There's science and art behind, farming isn't just a matter of, how do I say this? It wasn't what I expected to be. It's more.
It's technical.
It's very technical, and
we've seen some of the stuff Wes has
And
done.
well, I've learned from your podcast.
well, and having Abby Lee on the program, who is totally agriculture, like I can touch base on a lot of the cool tech stuff that's going on and this equipment that they're using and things like that. I dig it, right? She can get into trends and what the market's doing and how these, it's a roll of the dice. That's why I do a consistent job where I know I'm going to have a rocket to go work on, hopefully still. But farming, you don't know if that crop's going to make it. You put $1 million in fertilizer, and you don't know if you waited too long to, put it in, and so
it's big dice roll.
It is a huge gamble. That's what farmers do for a living. And I did not also realize the impact that they have on, being an Army veteran. I'm a patriot, and I love the country, and I didn't realize how much agriculture plays a role in things that I took for granted, i.e. schools, food at schools, things that you just knew were there.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe they just went to the local HEB. No.
Melissa's daughter works for Georgia Farm Bureau, and part of what she does is she goes around. She lives in the rural part of Georgia, and part of what they do is they go around and they educate farmers to kids.
Yeah.
On new technology.
Well, FFA stuff, right? Yeah. See, when I was growing up, we didn't have FFA. Because in the city, we didn't have that, right? And mind you, I've been in Texas for
Michigan.
years. I've been here now. I moved here in 2008, so I've been here for a little while. And I'm
welcome to Texas.
Thank you, man. I am in no hurry to leave. I love this state. And I've lived a lot of places all over the world being in the service. In Texas, my mom goes, "You ever come back?" I go, "How about y'all just come visit?"
Right.
Yeah, that's what we tell our
family. Home will always be home. Like, even when I was in the military, that was one of the expressions I said. I can always go home. It'll always be there. But if you don't get out and see the world, Ferris Bueller line, life moves fast. You got to get out, check it out, man. So that's got me in the ag, and thank you for saying that. I'm not the ag expert, but I'm surrounded, like you mentioned, Wes, and I'm not a good friend. I mean, I know Wes very well. I'm trying to get him on my show. I dig him. And
Wes Perryman out of Moody,
Texas.
Great farmer, great musician, good friend of ours.
He's the farmer I know.
Yeah, and I always said, well, the show might start at 8. It might start at 8:30 because he's harvesting the cotton right now.
That's the thing. They cannot stop, right? And if say rain's coming in, we got to go. I mean, they will go until they literally can't, because they don't get it. Once they can't get out in the field because it's muddy or whatever, they can't get out. They're stuck.
Let me give you a couple examples of what I've listened to most of your episodes. When Abby was talking about Allie, I'm going to get that.
Abby
was talking about the mix of ground beef and how we have fat cows in America, so we have to import lean cows, and you had no idea, and I was like, I didn't either. Oh my God,
isn't that mind blowing?
And then a few episodes earlier, when
really
you were talking about, she was asking about growing food in space, and she thought, I just thought they used MREs, and I'm like,
and they do, but they're still they're growing crops in space.
But the way that y'all cross your knowledge and ask questions, and you're just like, I had no idea, is the person listening's like, I had no idea either.
That's why RocketFarm just wasn't a clever name. It literally was two separate people with two separate expertise
and
coming
exploring
together.
those ideas and the potential for future technology.
Right. Like, I'm not embarrassed to ask the questions that maybe some people won't when it comes to an industry I'm not familiar with. But she was the same way, right? Like, she don't step in our realm where, I mean, we could talk about thermodynamics and fluid expansion all day long, but it's probably pretty boring to you.
Not for me. I love it. I'm an ex-refrigeration guy.
So
simple, basic thermodynamics. I'm with you.
And so there's interest on both sides. She's just as interesting, and we find that our audience base is, they're either real strong on one side of the fence or they're not, and they're actually getting educated on things like that.
So they're all okay with reading an enthalpy chart.
I mean,
well, it comes across that y'all both.
Some may not, But I think being able to be humble enough to acknowledge when you can empower somebody is the best thing you can do to anybody. And I don't care what it is you're doing. If it's talking about what they do for a living and if that's their expertise and they're sharing that knowledge, they leave. That's a moment they don't forget. That's the kind of programs that we wanted to really focus on. Like, we didn't want to just get up there and talk jargon and well, shit, man, blah, 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 excuse me. But,
no, because that's basically the show we do.
Okay. And you do a real good job of sitting in the background going, yeah.
I told Abby there's an art to that. The Abby, see?
I'm listening.
So, you know, Abby had learning. We were all learning, and Mike Discipline. We were talking about some people get on, they just get on nerves. Next thing you know, they're talking way back here, you know. So then you gotta. I was just doing it real quick. You don't have to just. But and I also explained to Abby about the when you have guests on, just like Tim's doing, you stay engaged in the conversation, and you don't want to do it to the point where what was that movie where he was like he's not listening, and he's like. He's not really listening to what we're saying. Yeah, okay, and you know, whenever he's on the
was
radio,
it Ron Burgundy, maybe?
You know, and I think it was the Wayne's World deal when they finally went to a big studio and they're trying to promote their show.
Right.
And that DJ, and we're back, and he's over here doing some other stuff, and they're trying to talk about their program, and he's just going, yeah, and then finally they're like, is he really not listening to us? Well, we can say anything we want, and then they start going on a rant about something else. But anyway, I told Abby that's a real thing though, because using it properly, you know, people are speaking. You're giving a little bit of back white noise. What were we calling that earlier? You know, like here you can hear maybe the rain or whatever the mic picks up, the ambience. You know.
Yeah, just that.
And so by showing that there's a true conversation on, because when there's not video and you're only listening to audio, you have to audibly tell the story. And
make sure
remind
they know
people there's two people there, that there's an
listening.
actual conversation going on, right?
That's right, and that goes back to what we was talking about, you know, offsetting the phase.
Which
you know,
that's cool that you do that.
Yeah, just but it's very
talking
smart.
shop right now,
and it's just there's little bitty things, but it's it's learning that.
Yeah, that's clever. See, I just learned something today. I'm gonna leave here going, that's awesome. That is awesome.
And I want to think the magic number is like 0.08 or something. Anyway,
for those listening at home, we're talking about the audio mix.
Yeah,
how to make it how to make fake stereo go.
All right,
yeah, basically. Anyway,
well, I'll tell you this. Like, so we have new programs that I've been dying to tell you guys about this. One of the things.
Okay, now this is part of 317 production is what actually puts on the Rocket.
So
Farm.
RocketFarm is our home podcast, right? 317 Productions is the idea of the company, as I mentioned, was we want to do business promoting or promoting of any sort, musicians, music, everything, right? We want to tell the world, hey, this is going on.
So if you got somebody wanting to do a commercial on Rocket Farm, you're the one that offers to sell them the commercial and the space.
Not just on
not
Rocket
just
Farm,
on Rocket Farm,
but anywhere,
any show, anything.
But they can put it in
even
your
if
show
they
or
don't.
anywhere
They
else.
You produce a commercial for them to sell to whoever they want.
So our niche, the way when we sat down and thought of the map on what we wanted to do, we said, okay, well, we need to offer multiple services because anybody can go record something, right? So we've got to make sure it's quality because sound is everything, right? We all agree on that.
You and I do.
And so we need good quality. So we're using the same software that, per se, the big boys are using, right? And that was the same software that we use in radio. I says, can we create something to where not only are we giving them a tool or a product that they can use anywhere, but once we work with you, you become part of our 317 family, which means your commercials will air on everything we do. Your business is going to be mentioned. Like if I go to an event and I got my backdrop up there with my logo on it, well, surrounded by my logo or all, well, I want it to look like the front fender of a NASCAR, but all the businesses that we worked with.
So your Cox Communications with all your different channels,
constantly promoting
channels.
them. Once we promote you, we promote you in everything we do.
That just makes. Why is that not obvious?
Your flag will fly everywhere we go. It's not necessarily. It is kind of a sponsorship. I'm sponsoring you when you're sponsoring us. But it's showing that people are going to want that too. I think they're going to say, "Man, I want our flag flying on that banner."
Yeah.
You know, and all we got to do is go hang out and talk about what we do and talk about our business, and that's all they want.
And seeing it's working for you.
Yeah.
It's amazingly.
We're trying
so
to figure.
far.
We want to figure out what you're doing because it's working for you. So 317. Back up to that. 317
is
like
the production company. It's the umbrella.
The umbrella.
Yeah. So
And
Rocket
then-
Farm's our home podcast, but we have another episode coming up. We've already started one. Whose business is it anyway? It's geared towards small business. I want to get you in and talk about who you are, what location, and what you guys are doing. What is your business? Do you have any specials coming up? Is there something? Is there there might
Anything
be
that makes them unique.
Yeah.
Well, and you did one of those.
We just
on
did
Rocket
one.
Farm,
Yeah, we had our first one launch right before
in October.
the end of this last year. Got really. It was tough,
Let-
right?
let me
2020 was a rough year to start a business.
Let me go back. Your premiere of Rocket Farm hit. I want to say it was March 17th.
It was on St. Patrick's Day.
That was, I think, March 17th.
We did it on purpose for those of us who enjoy that. Yeah, and it was 317, and our studio was on State Highway 317. That's why I can get away with this because
Right.
it's not a farm to market road. It's a state highway, so there's no branding issues.
It's genius, but you premiered.
Now I say that I'm going to get hit from the state of Texas.
You premiered the day after the pandemic started.
So at midnight, we had our launch party, and we'd already had everything set. And it was like, we're moving forward. Because at the beginning, nobody really knew how serious this thing was going to be or anything, right? And
I know.
We're marching forward.
I was on the other side of the earth.
I
remember.
I was going to a concert in Austin for South by Southwest, the kickoff
South
party.
by.
And it got canceled the day before. I was making T-shirts for it. And it got canceled
yeah.
as I was making T-shirts. And I'm like, stop the production. That's why I remember the 16th was the official
We
day.
came out the gates on the 17th, and midnight that night was when they put the restrictions on how many people you're allowed to have in your staff. That's when they really started implementing these restrictions.
So how much did that change your business plan?
It put a huge damper in what our map was.
Right.
We had to adapt and figure out how we could still get the brand out there and how can we still get
Because
the
you're
word.
relying on these businesses that are being
Exactly,
shut down.
That are being shut down.
Yeah.
Right.
So, looking back at it now, I try to take the good with all the bad, meaning I look at it like, as we say with all of our small businesses out there, I myself being a small business owner, a new small business owner, that I'm in the trenches with you. And you may be shut down and you may be, I'm feeling the pain with you. So what can we do to keep things moving, not just for you, but for us as well? And if that means like some advertising, let's get the word out there where people know they can go online, they can still shop your store or shop your product. And there's and so then the advertising thing really started kicking in like, well, that's something we can just do here in the studio. And then we found out that not only that, but it makes a little bit of coin to put back in the music, you know what I mean? To our music, our studio. And so our business. It's been tough. And then, getting sick with the Rona and all that, I had been through it. Abby went through it. And so then next thing, and luckily enough for us, when Abby caught it, we were on break anyway. So we weren't in the studio anyway. And there was a good couple of weeks we took for holiday. And then I caught it. And so I spent Christmas and New Year's cooped up in a house, just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you was sick at Christmas too.
And what sucks is I had bookings. I had programs and artists, and I'll get back with you, and we're still going to make things happen. And now I'm backpedaling, trying to rebook these artists and things that I've had plans for, and I'll get to some of these shows that I wanted to really promote and talk about because they're healthy for both the artists and for us as well. Right. And so anyway, to get back to the small business thing, we're in the trenches with you. We feel your pain, but we can still get the word out, and we can still promote what you're doing. And there's not the end. There's ways that you can still thrive as a business without having the physical clientele there, I guess, Yeah. And so anyhow, RocketFarm is a good tool to use for that as our home podcast.
But you're whose business is it?
Whose business is it anyway? Geared towards small business. I want to do a program. I've talked to a few fellas, and it's coming, so I don't want to let all the cats out of the bag yet. Backstage and lighting is one of the things that I want to talk about what really takes to put a show on. And the reason why that interests me so much is since I've been involved in building a studio and being in the music industry and watching these guys come in and
it's like a mystery.
It is a working orchestra.
There's two
totally
people,
good.
Two people I know that are good at it, really good at it. That I guess I know well enough to say I know them. It's Chance Hendricks and John Cooper.
Yes, both of them are my favorites.
I'm shooting a music video in about 2 weeks, and Chance is my engineer.
That
He's
is
my
going to be
light
really
and
awesome.
sound engineer.
I love Chance. I love John. I love them all, man. And those guys are in the trenches. They're good.
Yeah,
they're good because they put the time in and they're doing it.
And how do you ask the question of how do you make that work? Because there's not one answer.
No.
It doesn't start with just an XLR cable, but there's other cables that look like an XLR. It's not an XLR.
Oh, yeah.
It's just not there.
Well,
it's a million other things. I'd listen to that.
That's what I want to talk. I want to get guys that are in that industry because people want to hear the backs. People want to hear what goes on behind the scenes.
We tell you who the people are that want to hear that stuff. I think your fans will be minimal. The actual fans, music fans, it'll be a small percentage of them. The people that are going to listen to that, it's going to be the industry people.
Yeah,
it's going to
the bands themselves.
The bands themselves. It's going to be the roadies. It's going to be because you're going to talk about them, and they're going to be crazy that you're talking about them.
I don't want to name drop anybody. There's some cool programs coming up. 2021, we really hope is going to be a totally different year than what the last year was. We've faced many obstacles, but that's what makes us, and that's what puts the scars and the character on who we are. and how far we're willing to go to try and just keep the ball rolling, right?
Yeah.
One of the famous things that I love him to death, John Dempsey.
Yeah.
He goes, Jeremy, you're lucky because you're coming on board right now during a time that I've been in Waco as a musician for many, many moons, and he goes, you're coming on board where things are taking off. They're
And
coming
where
to
things
life.
are actually starting to happen around here.
And the music scene is finally getting its, Mel got me real involved. Mel Adams, love her to death too, and she got me hooked and very interested and connected with Texas music scene, right?
Yeah.
And I love promoting anything we can do to
Melinda
keep
Adams
that word.
knows everybody.
Yeah.
And
She does.
she has a passion. Not only is
Because
she
she's so friendly.
well,
She is.
she's a great. I mean, she plays herself. She's an
Right.
artist. She has that. She has a vision and understanding that, like we have. She gets it, right?
For the long term too.
For the
she's
season.
not
Yeah,
she's not
absolutely.
trying to knock it out of the home run.
Well, and
she's hitting singles and doubles and
She's doing
building
what she
it.
loves to do, but she's not afraid to plug anybody in the industry that has anything to do with it.
And
that's what
she
makes
will support other people in other lanes and
Always.
all that stuff. Melinda Adams, I can't say
and goes
enough
out of her
about
way
this.
to do it. On top of a
Oh,
woman who has
out
a
of her way.
career already, so
Right.
her hands are full as it is. They're like
Yeah, she's like the city event planner kind of thing or something.
Yeah.
If there's something that goes on in the city of Waco, she's probably on the thing that swirls a wand and makes it happen.
There you go, magician or whatever.
Yeah,
And
her.
she's a hell of a singer.
So
And a hell of a
what I
singer.
love is the Central Texas scene is awesome. I'm glad that if I'm in any part of Texas that I'm in this part of Texas. And don't get me wrong, I love all Texas. Coming from moving to Texas, the very first Red Dirt artist, what got me hooked was after I got out of the service, I had a bike and all that, and we were riding Harleys all over. My buddy goes, I'm gonna take you down. We're gonna go ride the hill country and all this. Went down to Green Hall.
Yeah.
Now I had no idea what Green Hall was, and to me it was just a cool
I remember
ride.
learning all this stuff.
Yeah, it was just a cool ride, right? And so we get down there, get a cold one, good beverage on a hot summer day, and in there jamming and just. Mind you, I'm from Motown, Detroit. Like, I know good music when I hear it. That's how I believe anyway, right? I love it. It's in my blood. Statesboro Review was in there
Wow. Good one.
Oh yeah.
playing. The Man Brother. I mean, and so I remember sitting down there
Wow,
and
what a-
just blown away.
Just the rock and roll, the blues.
That's an underrated band, right
That,
there.
very much so.
Well,
Just
but- and
the
Green Hall
the
and
bio
just,
blues kind of sound that they got. It's
yes,
just
yes.
and it's rock and roll on top of it.
It's what I've known. I guess they call. I don't know what. It's hard to really brand a lot of the Texas music. I don't want to say Americana because I love my whiskey Myers
Right.
and all that. Don't get me wrong. Like
It's a melting pot.
it is a melting pot.
We often, in fact, just yesterday had a long conversation about what we're promoting for Texas music. What is it? It's everything. It's all
Because
of
we
it.
do, because we do talk about what is Texas music. You know what? Let's take a break. Let's
Yeah.
come back. Let's pick this back up. Y'all good with that?
Yeah.
My first Green Hall, when I just went to Green Hall, didn't know who was there, was Bob Snyder out of Austin. So that was another, like, what the hell is this music? And this is back before anything happened. So.
Man, plenty of cool things to talk about. Central Texas music scene is happening
Absolutely.
and will continue to be
yeah,
happening.
and good segue. We'll talk more about the Central Texas music scene
Let's
when we
do
come back.
that. Be right back. Right.
This is Steve. I'm with Signo.
Hello, Texas! Yeah! Townie's got a. We've talked about this before. There's a Todd Snyder kind of gravelly rock and roll. I don't know what you explain it. Let's come back to it.
Yeah.
Right.
We're back.
Hey,
Hello,
What's
Texas.
happening?
man. I still don't know because I know this camera is. I'm on the very edge of it,
We're
and I know
talking to
that. One. I know.
He's
but,
talking to that.
I'm making
one.
love to that ADD over there right now.
And then there's this one.
That's
So,
his. You can get. You
Oh,
can
get
wipe
my
it off
head.
later. So we're talking 317 Productions, Rocket Farm, everything else that you got going on with 317. Quick question: you got different people to do all of these different projects, or are you the face of all of it?
That's a good question.
Yes, it is.
So I am in the middle now of, I'll be producing them, but my goal is to have different faces run these shows, right? I want to create,
Person with the expertise in that lane, I guess.
right?
maybe
Like
a
I'll
little
put
bit.
the show together. I just want people, it's kind of like if your expertise is in music, for example. I want to do a show called Stage Right. It's another program I'm looking at about doing where it's about bringing the artists in, like we talked about. I
Now
can
you
run.
stepping
I can
on our
run
toes.
that.
I've
You
had
know what I
enough of
mean?
that.
I can run that. But also, I could have, if there's somebody I
Don't.
know that might be in an industry to do it. I don't know. It's up to debate. I'm gonna try a few different angles and see how
We're
it
for
goes.
sale, by the way.
You guys would be awesome in the studio. I'm telling you right
We're
now.
for hire too. I don't give a shit what Steve says.
See, he got real uncomfortable right there.
No.
Good job, buddy.
I look. I
yeah,
find
that
that
would be great.
I find I do that because it's
Nah.
almost an aspiration. I would love to be able to put something that big together. Like
Sure,
that's my
I get
goals
that.
are. I don't want to say no because yes, that's what I want to do. Right? It's just time and money. Right? That's my biggest setback
said
in
that
this
big, is
business.
that
How much money are we talking about?
I
I'm just kidding.
mean, they said that.
I'll
big.
tell you what, man.
What's he talking about? Is he talking about the chairs we need? Or is he talking about?
I can't say nothing about there
I
either
don't
myself.
know.
So you're 37 or Rocket Farms Ag and Tech. You're into stage right. I get the feeling that everything that you come across, you dive in head first and figure out how to make a business out of it, or a career, or a full-blown hobby.
It's weird. I feel that if I have like a vision how I see something like whose business is it anyway? A program geared towards small new businesses, right? I feel that if I don't put it on paper right away, or if I don't get that idea down, then it's going to go away.
I think
it's going to go away.
I think you and I share that a little bit. That I can't just. My wife will tell you, I can't just see something and go, that'll be fun. I think.
Ask him later to see some of his spreadsheets.
Hey, but
I can get my drone out.
organization is awesome. I'm all about it, and I think the military side of me brings that in. Is my OCD is so bad, right? Like I could go right now just sitting here talking about it reminds me that I have a file. I'm like, I need to go clean up in the studio right now because it's just sample stuff that's scattered. I need to, and it drives me nuts. Like I know where it's at, but I don't want. I want it to be one push away. I want it to be organized. Having a full-time gig. If I could do this full-time, I think I would be able to cope with a lot of it in a different way than I cope with it now. I've had to learn how to adapt in all my free time, as well as still having some sort of home life. I gotta have a life too, because I'm not me if I'm not happy.
Well, I think that the question I had a while ago before I just completely had a brain fart, you almost have to become an expert in all of those things, and you don't have to, but I guess I'm saying this the wrong way. Do you find yourself having a hard time getting a project physically started because you feel like you need to be an expert or know so much about it, do so much R&D to actually get it going, to feel comfortable to
That's
get
a
it
good
started?
question.
Do you have trouble getting it started?
No, on the contrary.
Shit, I
was
even
gonna-
get that?
No, but I have a follow-up question that's going to make this.
I can get the ball rolling easily because when it's fresh in my head and I already got the idea and I already know how I want to do the intro and I already know
You have
I already
control of
have
everything.
the format. Once I have that, it's a matter of, okay, if I'm going to commit to this, is there enough content in this to be able to do it weekly or however, you know what I mean?
That's why I think
That's
Rocket
the other
Farm's
thing.
amazing, because I'm thinking they're going to talk about cows, and then I'm listening. I'm like, this is great.
So
And-
every program we do, hence I want to do a backstage and lighting. One day I might have a guest in there that's talking about, like Alex or something, talking about his lights and how far and what he's learned, and now he's doing great things with a lot of people, and how that's helped his business. And he'll mention and touch base on some things that somebody else out there that's looking to get into some, maybe a similar, he might help answer some of those questions. I don't, because that's not my deal.
Yeah.
The show isn't per se for me or for 317. It's really for an audience base. And I think finding a program that captivates an audience is what you just march forward with. I use
Well, and I think
I
that's the
use
thing. He's
Buzzsprout,
always
and
going-
Buzzsprout gives us analytics.
Right.
So I can sit back and look at everything. I can see who's viewing and all, what shows are working really well and what shows just, they're not there yet. Maybe we need to tweak something or maybe we need to do something. And so without the analytics, it's a guess. You have nothing to go off of. And that data,
you want it to be great. Sometimes it just
there's shows we've canceled that I thought were awesome, but
right.
I'm just,
We've had moments, we've had posts that we put so much into and it just flopped.
Right.
And then there's some that Steve has a brain fart and off the cuff, he goes, 5 of these. And it blows up.
see,
Right. And I'm learning weekly what works. And it's a surprise every time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think you're going to be a home run. You're like, one person saw it and nobody really cares. And
you know, I watched a show. It was one of those interview shows, and it was about a comedian, and he was talking about, you know, how he had been to stand up for so many years, and you think you're funny, but everybody else may not, right? I might think a program's really good, but I had to cancel it because I don't have the viewers that needs. But the ones that catch you by surprise, are the ones that you're not expecting, and they take off. Some of the most biggest successes happen that way accidentally. And that's because part of it's because it's so genuine. If you put too much, if you put too much thought into a project, you can overthink it, and then that's why it fails. You know,
right?
I am a firm. I've done that over and over and over. Some shows you just say, "Hey, I got a great idea. Let's sit down, let's do this." And next thing you know, boom, 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 boom. People are tuning in and they're like, "Oh, they like that? That was nothing. Like that didn't even. I just spent $800 on this other camera I don't even get to use yet." And you're worried about.
We still haven't figured that out. What that is yet, but
it's
it seems to work better whenever I'm not involved. So that.
Let me go back to his original question when you about starting businesses and
getting started,
podcasts and getting started. How hard is it for you to delegate once that starts to take off?
So, and Abby and I love Abby to death. We have bumped heads over so much stuff. Because our visions of what we wanted the company to do were, let me say it this way. The goal was the same. About how we got there was totally different.
Boy, you're preaching to the choir and then some right now.
And so but what has worked out for us and with this business is that once we both realized that, you know, and had already been through World War III over it, and, you know, at the end of the day, the important thing is that we have a program that is worthy of listening to, that brings content. Like, we're not just on RocketFarm, we're not just talking about cheesy stuff.
Value.
We're bringing value to the show. Right. Yeah. In two different fields that both survive together, right? The industry is thriving now due to both of those fields, tech and ag. And so with that formula come, you know, small business. We just had you know, a great show that I need to continue. We have more lined up, and things are coming now that all the studio I can get back is sanitized and everything's ready to rock and roll again. You also got to remember, our studio is next to a daycare. So back when we started getting the Rona stuff, well, during the day, it doesn't matter. During the day, our shows are, but we didn't want to bring that Rona around them kids.
Right.
So we made sure that we triple, quadruple
musicians
stayed away.
are dirty, nasty individuals.
The good thing about the daycare is that when I record, it's either in the evening times when they're closed or on the weekends when they're not open anyway. So the daycare never becomes a factor.
Oh, yeah,
in what
there's
we're
the
doing.
other side of that, because they're open when musicians are still asleep and hungover.
Right.
Boy, I'll tell you, if I didn't have a day job, I would be hungover and still asleep.
So let's change the subject.
Yeah.
You're big into music. What are you listening to? I'm going to steal Tim's question. What are you listening to right now? What's big? What's on your playlist?
Well, whatever. Get it out. Where's your phone? Get it out.
Well, I don't listen to. So,
what's on your
To be honest
player?
with you, you're going to laugh. I listen to more, and it's because I'm researching. This is the nerd in me. I want to hear commercials, so I listen to a lot of FM stuff. Not so much for the music anymore, because I'm listening to the different commercials and ads, and I'm learning about how they're.
Wow, that's a great answer.
Well,
I get that.
No, I understand that.
I'm getting looks over there. Now, let's say I'm at work and we're wrenching on the vehicle. Okay, you want to get in the dirt?
Sure.
I took a guy right here in the backyard.
What's playing on your Spotify right now?
Giovanni, Dylan Wheeler. You know, it varies so much. I mean, Statesboro Review, of course, one of my favorites. Jason Boland, who was another one I meant to get to. So Statesboro was at Green Hall, and that happened on a whim. My first on-purpose go-to concert when I moved to Texas back in 2008 was a Jason Boland concert, and it blew my mind too. And I go, those are two artists back-to-back. I love the Texas music scene.
Yeah. We've seen Boland in Georgia. The first time I seen him was at the Peachtree Tavern in Georgia.
But I just mean the talent here in music is so good. There's so many artists, man. And, you know, being able to, when I was in radio and people are like, man, Jeremy, so you get to, and I go, first of all, I mean, get rid of some that have the egos and some that don't. The main point is that they're just sharing an art, right?
Right.
And when you get a bunch of really
do you think
good
it's
and
saturated?
different, I think music saturated or this?
So we've talked about Central Texas, and we've talked about that a pretty good bit. The music's, I keep saying scene. I know that they don't like it. That's tough. It's what it's going to be. The music scene here in Central Texas. So many talented artists. There's a lot of artists that just live here.
It's huge.
That we don't see play because they're on the road playing the big national things that live here.
Right.
But you mentioned Geo, Dylan Wheeler, that whole stream of artists.
Hayden Haddock is coming up.
So do you think the pool's too deep now?
No, I think it has to be. I think in order for these artists to self-improve their own music, they also have to be surrounded by great talent.
I think the national pool's too shallow. I think it needs to be deeper.
I think it needs.
Yeah, for the national pool.
Yeah. I
Well,
mean, there's only like 30 artists that are on that top 40 countdown.
I think from a national standpoint, the music that is in that pool isn't music that we're interested in swimming with.
That's a good point and a good way to put it. There's so much when you talk about saturation. I don't know if I'd use the term saturation in a bad way. I would say the pool is full, and
But you think it's cycling
good.
out? You think it's cycling out fast enough?
I think it's
To keep
moving
fresh
pretty good.
water?
I think it's moving. Like Tristan, Tristan's now coming. It's like you watch these
Tristan
guys
Perez.
who
Yeah, Cody Hibbert out of nowhere.
right? Like,
Hibbert's
but they've been
awesome.
playing. It's not like they haven't.
Right.
Well, we're just starting to hear their
It's
name.
just, and that's what I love about what we're doing, gentlemen, is that we promote. We're the ones that are putting that out there, right? I brought a guy from work here who his kids have grown, already been in the Marine. He's a Marine. His kids already been in the Marine himself. I got him at work jamming out to like Dylan Wheeler. When Dylan played here, I go, I'm taking you to the backyard. They live in Temple, right? And I go, I'm going to take you guys to the backyard. Gio and Dylan were playing. And I said, that's all. He goes, man, I got my kids on it. We all jam out to that. So I turned somebody on to music that's really good that they didn't know about.
Right.
That's a great feeling.
Yeah.
That's
a great
That's
feeling.
my favorite thing of all is to say, come listen to this band. I think you'll like them. And they go, oh my God, I didn't know this existed. And
So I don't know how you are about people up in Michigan, but I know I've got people back in Georgia, and I'll send them a string of artists, and I've learned how to play this out. There's a string of artists that I start people off with. I start them with staples, usually Randy Rogers, Jason Boland.
Right.
I usually put Adam Hood in there with it somewhere, but I'll put Parker, William Clark Green, Coe, and Ragweed, and I'll just kind of give a.
I like how you said staples because those are staple artists.
Right, and I call those staple
That's
artists.
a good way to put it.
Staples, or you can call them legacy artists. I use the
Well,
term
they've been
legacy.
through the trenches. Them artists have already been through the
and
trenches.
I tend to call.
And they,
I use the term legacy generally for right now. I consider Fowler to be a legacy artist.
Absolutely.
Rogers Band to be a legacy
Yeah.
crew. Jackie Ram to be a legacy artist. Jack Ingram.
Ingram.
Jack Ingram.
I thought it was your accent. I thought you drawed that out a little bit.
No, Jack Ingram.
they call him Ingram in Georgia.
Ingram.
It's an inside joke.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
And the cool thing about that is the beautiful thing about Red Dirty is I can throw some of those to them. Some are a little more country than others. Some a little more rock and roll than others. They can pick something out, and they come back and they go, "Man, I really like that." Pick one. I like that Cody Canada, or the ragweed stuff. Well, start throwing some of the rock and roll side of stuff. You're gonna throw some Reed to them. You're gonna throw Coe that way. But if they come back with something really country, well, you start picking out.
Right.
They come back with Jason Boland. If they like Jason Boland, chances
tell
are
me
they're
who you
gonna-
like. I got ones that you never heard of that I'll
that
put
you've
in
never
my
heard of.
pocket.
Well,
And we can do that.
That's the ultimate rule in radio is
Show me another.
Know your audience.
Yeah.
Show me another genre that's that way.
Right. Study your audience. Study who is following what you're doing, and you'll know what to play because you know what they like.
Right.
So that brings us to here. Let me ask you a question on this. It kind of brings us to something, and this is exactly why I think you're the guy to be here right now. So one of the things we talk about is the whole genre debate. Red Dirt already. How are we looking on time?
17 minutes.
17 minutes. Okay.
We're trying to talk before the cameras turn off.
Yeah, that's all. Sorry. My bad. Technical stuff.
That's right.
So we talk about this genre, and it's got so many different styles of music in it. Red Dirt tends to be a melting pot, if you will, and it's so accepting of other styles of music to be played at the venues.
That's why they do so well at venues.
You dang right it is, and nowhere else I think that is. I think most the Americana scene is either, well, it's Americana.
Yeah.
But you can't. But here's the cool thing: you got Mike Stanley, who classifies as Americana. Oh yeah, I'm wearing his shirt.
Shiny Rib.
I love you, Mike.
I like the shiny rib shirt. I gotta give you one of them.
But in that, who are you wearing? So with that right there, in the same circle, in the same weekend, the same venues, the same circle of music, within an arm's reach, a 30-minute drive, you could potentially go see Mike Stanley, Americana, to go see Shiny Ribs, which I don't even know where that ranks in at. But it's something in between, super entertaining, to go and see a rock and roll show with Gio, or go see a country show with Josh Ward or Cody Hibbert or any, you understand?
Yeah.
Nowhere else can you do that.
Yeah.
And it's all the same. It's just music. I mean,
but it's different. But so the question has kind of come up with us with Hello Texas and kind of what we do. That's a big part of what we support. But we also listen to music and we support people on a bigger platform to that. I just, some of the countryer stuff, just I like it. I respect it. It ain't always my jam.
I'm the country folk. He's the rock and
so for me, it's looking for those other bands out there that are. So probably Avenue Rage is probably the heavy metal side.
That's going to be your heavy, yeah.
That's but I'm thinking Black Label.
Talent,
that's Black Label Society.
Yeah, you know,
that's those guys.
We talked about the diversity, and I don't like to use. I do because it's so easily slips off the tongue and used in the industry of genre. But put it to you this way. You can go to a venue here in Central Texas, right? And you plan, you bring your chair, like you're going to a venue. We're going to go watch this.
We've done
this
festivals,
festival, right?
We festival here.
Now, you might sit there and watch, it might kick off and you'll be listening to anybody from, Sonny Sweeney to, then you might get a Geo come on, or then Mike Stanley will take the stage, or then, you can watch a number of different genres at one event, and each one of those artists did their genre explicitly well,
and there were people there to see it.
And people might say that was awesome. I didn't know I would really like Red Dirt a little bit, but that kind of that's cool. Now,
so where do you think the line? Where is the line drawn for what the Red Dirt scene?
I think it comes down to the artists. I think artists don't like their music being genred because they want their music being heard and played everywhere. So I think it's not fair to the artist to really say you're Red Dirt. And this is just my opinion,
right?
And this is something I try to refrain from doing is when I'm around artists, ever mentioning about a genre type. However, what I will mention about is that new single they got and how it's just awesome because it's different than what's out right now. And that's what the scene here is. And
I appreciate that.
But
different. I'm looking at it from a fan perspective. From a fan perspective, where does the fan, for what we primarily base around,
right?
Where did they draw the line where they say, no, that's a little bit too much rock and roll. No, that's a little bit too country.
I don't think that there is a line.
So we got Co and we got Whiskey Myers. We call Co rock and roll. Whiskey Myers, we call him Southern rock and roll.
Americana.
Is that as rock and roll as we're willing to get?
It's why I call it Texas music.
Put it to you this way.
And even if it's not Texas, if it is New Mexico, Oklahoma, just this region of the country of the bands that play here often is what I think the genre is. I don't know that Red Dirt really matters much anymore.
Well, let me just answer this question. When I was in radio and we put our programs were put together, we would do a self-plug 10 minutes after the hour, 20 minutes after the hour, 20 minutes till the hour, 10 minutes till the hour. Quarters in between.
You're listening to Hello Texas, and we're going to bring you all the hits.
Within every quarter hour, I had to play 5 genres in every quarter hour. So that means what we would do is we would pick an Americana artist, a classic traditional, and with every quarter hour it's going to be different artists, but we hit all 5
anybody
genres.
that knows the business knows that the genre is the classification that gets you in a circle.
Well, and
it sucks, but that's how it is.
It is, and that's why I hate to use the term because I've seen it. used incorrectly, I guess.
Yeah.
But as a tool for a format on a program, that's something that we had to do. Sometimes there's a fine line between, well, is this traditional or is this Texas?
Who makes that decision? Where does the fan?
You don't.
Well,
That gets back to your analytics. That gets back into your program analytics, and you know what your viewers are. They tuning out? Are they tuning in? Are you losing more of your viewers every time a traditional country song comes on because most of your viewers are wanting Americana, or listeners like there's formulas.
Is it valuable?
Yeah.
That's where I'm going
I
with
listened
it.
to a conversation on a radio show just Friday, and a new song by Florida Georgia Line came out with I haven't heard it yet, but I get that.
Yeah.
But it's about the pandemic or something along those lines, about our unite or something along those lines. I apologize, I haven't heard the song. But the conversation was, the DJ on the radio show said, well, we're not going to play this song. It was 3 people in the room, and the main guy was like, this is a really good song. If I didn't know it was Florida Georgia Line, I'd love the song. And the other DJ is like, but we're not going to play it on this station. And they got in a conversation about, well, why not? And basically comes down to, because Florida Georgia Line is not who our listener doesn't listen to Florida Georgia Line.
They know their audience. That's
right.
Number one thing in this industry is trying to know your audience. You're never going to always know, but you can never put out a product if you don't know what your audience wants, right? So if you're a rock and roll...
So is that not one you put out and see how it does?
You're going to experiment here and there. You're going to throw things out there to see if it sticks, because sometimes there's some fine lines in music that this could be Americana because it's got some rock and roll in it, but it also could be...
They brought up the Dixie Chicks in that conversation.
Well, people get hot on that.
Right. Well, they'll play old Dixie Chicks. They just won't play new Dixie Chicks because the sound has changed. The subject matter's changed. But I thought it was fascinating. It was exactly what we're talking about. What constitutes your audience? What do your audience listen to? What will they accept?
I love that your perspective. Sorry, go ahead.
What will they accept and not accept?
Right.
It doesn't matter if it's good or not. It's what your audience will listen to.
And I think that's been some of our conversation, yours and ours. Our conversation is very much understanding and learning how to respect that it may not be our cup of tea, but it may be somebody's.
Somebody's cranking the knob off the volume because they jam it. You know what I mean? Somewhere out there.
We got time for one more segment. Let's take a break.
We'll take a break.
We'll wrap it up in the last segment. Good conversation.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Good stuff.
We'll be right back.
Be right back, Texas.
This is Steve with Brian White. Hello, Texas.
Hello, Texas. That's what I said.
Yeah, that's fine.
Happened because we just stopped doing stuff for 2 months. Like, I guess Hello Texas is over. Well, I'm going to revamp it and present it to Tim and see what he thinks.
Absolutely.
So I made this
January
spreadsheet
last year.
so in January I'm going to kick this. This is what we're going to do, and let's figure it out. And it lasted
We went a couple of months
until the pandemic hit. And
yeah, because we were scheduled. We had stuff still scheduled out through June. I think I've seen where we had stuff scheduled out through June, but we pulled a lot. But we kind of quit scheduling around.
But I had an artist for the day for the whole year
we're back
that we were going to go. Yeah,
Right on.
Hey, we're
Hello,
back.
Texas. We're back.
At the beautiful backyard bar, stage and grill.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I want to say thank you to
Thank
the backyard bar stage and grill for letting us sit in our little corner over
Man,
here.
and just I think they're happy to have us, man. Just it was was anybody here last night for Josh Ward?
Man, I didn't make the show myself. I was out of
didn't
town.
either.
However, I love the backyard. I'm glad you guys are having this here because the backyard's always been one of my
That's
favorite
my
places.
people, man.
I mean, the
That's-
staff, everybody here is wonderful. The food's amazing, and of course, they got cold beverages.
Always the cold beers, man. And they take care of us really, really
Oh
well.
man, they so family oriented and business oriented, and that's
Just
what
good
I love them
people.
all.
Well, you was talking about earlier. You was talking about mind your business or whatever. I will tell you what. Just knowing Chris and Russ and Chris and
The Four
Brian,
Horsemen.
the Four Horsemen, man, they've got a pretty good story to tell as far as business goes.
Well, they got a model that works.
Business
How would you not be interested in what they're doing?
They have the most dysfunctional business partnership. And
Doesn't that good for us? It lets us blue collar
but
normal
it is-
guys
it is
think we
so
can do this.
good.
Yeah,
and it's when you start learning a little bit about the backyard. Do you call it an empire because it's Brew and Chew, the
Sure.
saloon, it's here? I don't
Look,
know, but
and
when
it-
you start learning how they kind of work
Right.
all these things together.
Well, it's because they found a model that works. and they're
Well, each
able
one's
to
got
make
their
it.
own lane.
Well,
And they
and-
take care of the people that show up. They take care of their customers.
Every
and the
time.
bands,
Holy
everybody.
crap.
And it
Well,
goes back to what you said.
they have a great staff that is just as focused as they are, and that's the team environment. If you're
Yeah.
going to have any succession, you have to have a strong team. I'm looking at a team right here that's amazing, right? Like you mentioned about staying in your own lane. Yeah, they have the brew and chew. That's a little different, but you have to evolve, right?
But
like you
that's-
talked
that's-
about
that's a
Hello
couple of the
Texas.
other guys doing
Keep
there.
revamping that because that program works.
Yeah.
It's a living, breathing program, and if it doesn't evolve, it will dwindle out.
Right.
You
You
need to
have
get-
to continuously revamp it
You
constantly.
should get Chris. You should talk to Chris. Chris would be a good person for that, especially Chris. And they love to talk about themselves. So
Absolutely.
We'll tag him on this
Well,
segment.
they would for a while. They were doing their lives. They would come
Yeah.
on, and do it. But what if you guys hosted a program for them to do give them the platform
Well,
to speak on?
Well, I will tell you this. Outside of Backyard, they are in the middle of. So I'm gonna pump this one up a little bit.
Yeah.
Backyard, the guys at Backyard are also a couple of them are Red Sea TV.
I'm familiar. I'm a fan.
All right, so there is a
get
series from 10, 15 years ago it's been around called Cowboy and Lucky. Cowboy and Lucky is the adventures of two dumbass brothers who are bounty hunters here in local Waco, Texas.
Okay.
It is kind of a slapstick comedy, crime,
Action.
drama, action. Well, I just made a post. Go to my Facebook, Tim Murphy. I just did a thing a day or two ago, and I linked their 13 episode series. You all right?
Yeah, Fixin's trying to hold off his sneeze.
Yeah, don't sneeze on me now. Not in the middle.
Oh,
Be like
Lord.
Austin Mead's guy. Why in the middle of my solo, man? Come on. Yeah, that was the Friday. Anyway,
I love
that
Austin
was
Mead.
Friday.
Love them guys.
He
They
was here
jam.
Friday night.
Oh, them dudes jam.
So, Cowboy and Lucky is making a comeback. There was a 13 episode series that was on Fox 44 in 2010. Then there's like an hour and something video. You go ahead, let it
Let
go.
it go, man. Let it go. There you go.
Oh, that looked painful.
I'm good.
Well, it's coming back.
well,
So it's coming back. It's coming back in 10-minute series. I don't know if you know this or not. I'm the
I
director
saw.
of photography
I saw.
for that. Whatever it is, I'm the
No.
camera guy.
that's why I want to twist your ear on a lot of production stuff. I think
And-
it's amazing.
But it's the idea of working with guys. Russ used to be a stunt guy for Walker Texas Ranger, and these guys have worked in the film industry and kind of so getting to be around that a
Well,
little
you're
bit.
surrounding yourself with people that are successful in the industry.
Absolutely, I am. And so we're fixing to kick this off. I've got the first episode in the script, and I think we're going to be
That is
starting
gonna be
recording
awesome.
here in the next week or two. Well, the
Yes.
model is going to be 10-minute episodes. It's 10-minute YouTube episodes. There's just know this. There's a reason it's making a comeback, and it's got the potential to be pretty big.
Well, I'm excited for you. That sounds
Man,
very exciting.
Yeah, that's so. With total shameless plug.
Bring it.
I'll link it. We'll link it down here below, down here in the comments.
Absolutely.
We'll put a link to the video. Man, go to Red Sea, like the
about to-
page.
Yes.
Follow on the YouTube thing.
About to become a big deal.
Yeah, it is very much fixing to be a big deal,
I am
especially
excited.
for Waco people.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are onto something. I've been following behind the scenes a little bit because
Yeah. Man, Chris
it's got my
and vice
interest
versa.
because again, you're with people who know the industry, know how to make a good production.
Man, and
and
I am so blessed because we've got people. There's these people that a lot of people just haven't heard their names, but Chris Hoke is he runs a small business called Social Media Cowboys, and he does he'll traffic your website for you or however that works, and he'll do your SEO stuff, and I don't know however that works, but
that's
he's the guy.
those are very important things. By
But
the way.
he is also a gosh dang amazing writer, and he'll take a script. He'll take and Russell Clay is an amazing producer, and you've got Chris Cox who's just a really good actor, and they both got a lot of experience with film and stuff, and so to be able to be around those guys and have good scripts that are fun to go with, and just kind of knowing some of the stuff that's coming back, I can't. Man, I can't say enough how grateful I am to be a part of the Backyard team. So yeah,
Well, they
and
wouldn't
go
invite
follow
you-
the page, Backyard Red Sea TV.
Red Sea TV, and they wouldn't invite you along their program if they didn't think you were worthy.
Oh,
so
no,
you're
they're big
behind that lens,
they're
sir,
big fans
because
of Tim before you ever got on board.
Yeah, but before that ever started,
actions
I
speak
guess.
louder than words, my friend. And your work is hanging up in the
Yeah.
back room at this building. Like, they appreciate what you do, and that's what they want. They want
They're-
somebody that knows what they're doing behind the lens. And
We bring something together, that's for sure.
That's it.
And it's pretty awesome to see it coming together and something good.
cool
this
team.
time.
I'm excited for you,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't wait.
So let's talk about 317.
Let's go there.
What's next for 317 Productions?
That's all of my sunshine.
Well, I don't have
Yeah.
giant productions going on yet like that.
You
However,
got things in the works.
we're trying to just, honestly, at this point in the game now, lessons learned and things that we've learned to do is continue to create programs that people want to be interested in. You know, one of them I mentioned earlier, one coming is backstage and lighting, right? Now, you were just mentioning about, with this Red Sea, about some people that their names don't get out there. Well, this is a platform for people like that to say, you know, give them some cred. Let's boost them up, because that is part of the magic. Right.
Yeah, because there's production. Whether it's an understanding that if you come to see the Austin Meade show that was here Friday night, which was golly rock and roll, man. We was talking about this a while ago. I said I don't think about it. I guess because I'm here, but this is a destination venue.
Sure is.
For music.
Sure
and
is.
It's a destination city, and we're out in the middle of the thick of it. But there's so much that goes on. Even for a show, you've got lighting, you've got sound. There's all the stuff going. If there's video going on, video production that happens with it. If there's a TV show, there's grips, there's engineers, there's directors of photography, directors, there's electricians, there's wardrobe, there's all these things. Now, when you don't have all these people, you got to figure out how to do different parts of it.
You got to wear many hats.
Wear a lot of hats, but there's still a lot of people, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about being in a creative lane is we can bitch about the people that are involved with it, or we can embrace them a little bit. And I think that's kind of where you're coming
It's
from.
the arts,
learning
right?
something
It's
about
the
what
arts.
they're doing.
We all have something to learn from each other. Like every time I go to a concert or venue, whatever it is, I make a point to go check out the sound guys. And especially if it's a great sounding concert, I tell both the artists and the sound guys, hey, they sound great. And I'll tell the artists, dude, you guys jammed. And I've had artists go, we had a great sound. And that's the team that I enjoy. And like Coop, I'll go up there. I'm like Coop. I'm like, man, they sound awesome. And he'll be like, oh, they're just a good band. And I go, well, they wouldn't sound so good if they didn't have a guy that knows how to emphasize their sound. That's all they're doing. And so the production side of that is to me a production part of it. Sound is production.
You know who my favorite people at the show are, and that interest me the most. So, Coke Fest.
Yep.
You see the roadies?
Yep.
So if you go to a big festival
I know
anywhere,
well.
we hang around in the back a little bit, you'll see the roadies. They're very interesting looking people. And you think they're not doing anything because if there's a show going on, they're probably in like hammocks under the stage. That's just how they work. You know what I mean?
Because they've already loaded in and sound
Well,
checked.
that's the
and
thing.
got it
In
working.
between the shows, those guys, it's lack of better terms, it is assholes and elbows.
Sure is.
And that's it.
Especially at Big Fest. I mean, it is a chore.
But it's
And they've had the same guys each year that we've been there. Or that I've been there. So I've got to know them over
They're cool
the 2
guys.
times. Yeah, and
they don't look approachable.
They're a good crew. See what
right. That was what I was getting at.
Yeah,
they're
I mean,
efficient.
they hire them same crew because they know they get it done. Right. They know what they're doing, and I need you to get in and out like a robbery. Like we need to get in, set up, put the show on, execute, and get out.
There's no surprises.
When they had the street concerts here at the Backyard, that's what stemmed in my head about putting together a podcast about the backstage and lighting guys. Was watching them boys set that stage up and get it all ready to go and put on that show. And then at the end of the show, get it all tore down and get it. I mean,
you know what I just realized? I just seen the other day was coming back from Spiegelville or something. One of the stage places is out there on Spiegelville Road in Spiegelville. You go by, there's like a bunch of the stage trailers. They're just sitting there. It's kind of sad. I've never seen them there before because I think they're always out rented out somewhere.
Well, we mentioned guys like Chance
Hendricks.
Chance Hendricks, and them guys. If I was to put a concert on, I would go to Chance and say, I want to use your stage sound. I want to use all that.
Yeah,
because
or
you guys
at least
know what you're
I want
doing.
him to consult me.
Right. Right.
At the
Well,
very
that's what I'm
least.
saying. I've
Yeah.
even offered chances. I don't know if you remember this night. I had a couple beverages, and one night I think we were here at the backyard of all places, or maybe we were at another venue. But I go, man, I just
think
want to.
beverage is Yankee for beer.
I just want to. I want to be anything I can do to help out. If you want me to drag hump wire all morning to get you set up, I want to let me go out there and sweat and hump wire for you because I'm learning how to set up sound.
Right.
And that to me is the knowledge. Your knowledge I'll put in back breaking work. That's how I've always come up, right? Like. I may not have nothing to offer you, but my time, and when I'm giving you my time, it's serious, right? And I'm going to do you an asset as well. And he just kind of looked at me. He goes, "You'd be that dedicated?" And I go, "If I'm learning something, absolutely, man."
Yeah.
And you have the knowledge that I'm interested in. Like I can't learn that in school. The only way to learn that is to get out there and hump.
So what's next with 317? Where do you go? Where do you go now? What happens? Where are you going to be at in a year? Where are you going to be at in 5 years? What is your plans? 1 year, 5 year?
Well, 1 year's a little short, but let's say a 5-year plan would be to continue on and be. I want to be in the promoting and advertising world. I want to be a tycoon in that, and I want to get there by helping.
Tycoon sounds ambitious.
Well, and I want to get.
You want to be the name that people go to.
Well, I want any of these businesses that come in, if they want advertising done and they want promoting to get done, I want them to think of us.
Right.
There's going to be others, I'm sure. But I want to leave a lasting impression, and the only way to do that is actually speak louder than words and to build up a successful rapport with other businesses. But I think the niche of it really is that I'm not looking to get rich quick. That's why I say years too soon. I need like a 5-year plan or something because I want to offer a product at a third of the cost that these big names are doing it for.
Right.
Because I understand as a small business owner what it means to be able to not have the tools that I really need to get me to the next level. But if I find a place that says, "Hey, I got some gear or something for you, and I'll give you a third of a cost," I'm going to remember that. And I want to have that. I want to have that relationship with our customers to where they talk to other new businesses or businesses. It doesn't, instead of you paying $12,000 a month on advertising, what if I told you I can do it for $3 and give you all the same product? And I'm talking audio, video, and I would dedicate that much. I just cut your advertising costs by a third.
Great business plan.
And I think with multiple,
giving a good product,
we can all be happy about it. It's the same quality product.
It's realizing that you can have less profit and still give a good product. That's been a big learning curve for Melissa and I with Crackers and Cucumbers.
That is because the clientele is so big. Yeah. I can afford to do that. I can afford to take a cut in my profit for your quality. Because guess what? You're going to go tell your business buddy that you know, and I'm going to go get it, and I'll get it in the long run.
Well, you're invested for a long period of time. You're not looking for a large return right away on the investment.
No, I want to get out of aviation and aerospace. I've been doing it for ages, and I fell in love with music, and I really love multimedia, anything. In today's day and age with streaming and everything nowadays is going to be streaming. The world is changing as we know it. Media as we know
is changing.
It's
extremely visual.
And now's the time to get on board. And I think this is what we're pioneering. I think we're in a pioneering stage of this.
So let me ask you this then. Where does that leave you with the music side? I know you from the music side of things. And 317 Productions and RocketFarm's come along.
I'm glad you asked that. We will always stick to our roots. I will always have a music series because I always want to promote these artists that are busting their butts. The same way I want to take that model and put towards the small businesses that are busting their butts. I want to do the same thing, but we will always have a music scene.
In a nutshell, that's what we're doing, is trying to promote those ones that are busting their butts that don't get.
And in a business aspect,
need that extra. Listen, one of the things I learned from Jennifer Allen is if there's one thing an artist needs, especially an upcoming artist needs, when they're creating, and EPKs are not dead, regardless of what people think, EPKs are not dead. One thing an artist needs is he needs somebody to validate him to some degree. We're not a big validation point. If you take that view.
Are you?
We are.
We are. We're not big.
You're selling yourself short.
Right.
We're not as.
I agree with you on that. I'm like, wait.
So what I mean by that is you're so humble, Tim. I know what you're going with that.
I think from a 2 mile view, from a 2 mile view, I think we have some validation in a small circle. The plan is to get bigger from a 10-mile view.
Yeah.
And it carry more weight, and that just continues to happen. That's going to happen in time, but we also know that there's other products out there that are doing the same thing. I think, but for us, we feel convicted enough about this that the product that we're providing is transparent. It's real.
Talking about stuff we care about.
Because we care about it, so it means something to us. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to talk about something that nobody else doesn't care about, but I think we've got lanes that people care about, and we're staying true to that.
That's why 317 is so fascinating to me, because you care about a lot of different things, and they all have worked for the most part. You have some that haven't worked.
I will tell you this. You guys, you're selling yourself short because you're so humble, which is great. Your footprint is bigger than you think because of this. You are the first you. You might sell a product that somebody else has as well, but your niche is they don't have you.
And there's some people going right now going, thank God.
No, think about that. I appreciate that,
and that's what separates you apart, and that is that's your brand, that's your product, that's what people know when they have y'all on. They know it's going to be a cool, serious, funny. It's going to be an emotional roller coaster because you have a way of tapping into, It's going to be, you don't want to be one of them shows where at the end of it, everybody's crying because it started when I was 5 years old, I grew up poor,
I was trying to find the question that made you cry.
But we are interested in that, but I think the story's bigger and there's a more relevant side of it. And I think that's why I think you're just a perfect guest, because I know that you understand that and you get that, and I feel like you respect that part of it, and you see it from a very similar perspective as we do.
Well, I learned by watching you guys too. Don't forget. Again, you're.
Is it coming through?
The Star Spangled Banner. Wow.
Is that what it is? Do we want to give a minute?
Should we take our hats off?
Yeah,
we'll probably take our hats
I want to
off.
know who's playing.
This is the Kansas City game, I believe, just started. This is the big game, boys.
Ladies and gentlemen, live on Hello Texas right now. We're in the middle of.
We're sitting here while the NFL playoffs are going on.
The NFL playoffs are going on.
I don't even know. I think
on the stage right now, and the Star
assuming
Spangled
Tampa Bay
Banner.
won.
Somebody's jamming the guitar on there.
Is going.
Okay.
And
So Tampa and Green Bay's done. This is the Kansas City and
Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Go Buffalo.
Reverence and be respectful. Obviously, sounds like I'm the only one that's interested in that.
University of Houston represents Buffalo.
I don't know why we can't get everybody to have a moment and take their hats off and just be quiet, but it sounds like we're.
I want to know who that is playing the good national anthem.
There's the flyby.
Well, there goes the flyby, ladies and gentlemen, and fireworks are going off right now.
It sounds like Steve I or somebody like that jamming, doesn't it? Steve I haven't heard that name in a while.
There it
Hell
is.
yeah.
God bless America.
Who's the guy that plays Cliffs of Dover?
Oh, was that their
He
own
played
thing?
here a couple years ago.
All right, hats back on. We're good.
Okay, we ready to go back again?
We're back.
Cliffs of Dover.
21.
All right.
Who plays Cliffs of Dover? Johnson's his last name. The guitarist. He played here 2 years ago. I missed it. Steve. He played with Steve I.
Steve I was awesome growing up.
Oh, who was that? Dan Johnson?
I want to say Chris Johnson, but I don't think that's it. But
Melissa would. Well, there she goes. She's off.
Cliffs of Dover is the name of the song that's so popular.
Cliffs of Dover sounds familiar to me. I'm trying to picture either the chorus or a tune in my head. I can't put it together right now.
It's just a guitar solo.
Well, man, I really do appreciate the kind words. I don't know if the key ring and the hat pin is sufficient for all of that.
I don't need,
But we're going to give it to you anyway.
Hey, I think you guys are having me on. I really do.
Eric Johnson.
Eric Johnson. Yeah, Eric Johnson. Yeah. So, no, that just made me.
Eric Johnson.
I think you guys are onto something big. I think that I'm really also excited for you because it is in the realm of what I'm doing as well. And
we'd love to do more together.
Well, some
synergy.
We're going to work together a lot, and I'm looking forward. I think it's going to be fun and exciting, and we could take the load off each other too. If you guys might be somewhere shooting or doing something, we can be like, hey man, I'm going to run up here and capture whatever's happening at the backyard. Do you think it'd be all right? Like, I don't ever feel like I would step on any of your toes. You know what I mean? And I would share anything I ever did. That's the other thing too, is like some people get in this industry with ulterior motives and then realize that don't get them nowhere.
Right.
And listen, I will honestly, whenever I first got into this, I had the love of music, And I caught this little bug, and I thought there was some money to be made in it and everything. And not with this. I'm talking about from the photography side of it. And it didn't take me long to realize there is no money.
Right. Musicians have no money.
Now understand this. Now the musician, and I argue that the musicians don't. The bands have money.
Sure.
They should. Musicians are broke as hell. They'll tell you. But the band should be operating in a budget. But you know what? I've learned to figure out, since I know which those bands are. That's the ones that we, Hello Texas, those are the guys we're looking for, because those are the guys that need that little bump. We were talking about the validations a while ago, and that's really important to us. And if every now and then Mason Hayes, I know Mason Hayes is my friend. I did a write up on Mason recently from his single release.
Right.
Baptized by Whiskey.
Yeah.
Baptized in Whiskey.
Baptized, yes.
That is, what a great song.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And let me tell you how I know it's great. Because I run into one of his former band members. He used to be with the Hoosier Brothers, and I run into Josh the other day, Josh Hoosier, the other night here at the show, and Josh come up and talked about how great he thought the song was, and was really happy. But it's those kinds of things, and it's being able to provide that content. And I know that's sort of what we do, is we provide those pieces of content, we attach it to the artists and give them something to go, look. Even if it's, look, Ma, I made it. And right now there's a lot of that. Look, Ma, I made it.
Yeah.
Because we see a lot of moms sharing a lot of stuff. Look, Mom. and that is great. Listen, Hello Texas, we are, and the musician's mom's best friend. That's right. Musicians, we're interested in your mom because your mom cares about you too.
We're going to make a t-shirt that say Moms Love Hello Texas.
We are.
Dropping bombs in your mom since 1980. My buddy had a
Since
t-shirt that said that.
2019,
Yeah,
18, when we start this?
yeah.
19?
I'm just saying,
Dropping
that is so
bombs
funny.
on your mom since 2019.
Well, we're going to wrap it up.
Let's do this, because there's so much more. We
We will have to do another show.
We're gonna have you back.
You guys, as a matter of fact, we should do the second show in my studio, and then we'll, you know what I mean?
The idea of that.
We'll talk about that.
Let's work. I think that's a great idea. But I think more than anything, for us, I'm happy to introduce you to Hello Texas, ladies and gentlemen. Jeremy Hart.
Man, thank y'all so much. Thank you.
I think you're going to be a recurring guest, without a doubt.
Y'all go check out RocketFarm. Even if you're not interested, just listen.
We're on all digital platforms. I mean,
Right.
we can check us out at 317 Production Studios, plural, because to get the .com, I had to add an S at the end.
Okay.
So 317 Productions, plural.com, or on Facebook at 317 Productions. You can listen to us on any digital platform. Man, and I'm just glad to be here. I can't thank you guys enough for having me.
We're going to link all that stuff down below, and we'll have everything down there.
I'm excited.
We always worry we don't have anything to talk about. You know, we have plenty to talk about.
Yeah,
Man.
no, I knew you was going to be a gem in this.
Each episode creates so much content that you could go back in this and say, we need to do a show just on that. Or whatever,
We've
you know?
got 7 different things that I kind of jotted down.
And that's what's great about this is it's never ending.
Right.
Somebody once
Every
asked me, how do you do a show? And I go, when you
every
find...
conversation opens up a door, right?
Yeah.
Listen, we learned things. There was things about Townie Adams that we learned, and we're still talking
Love
about
Townie.
Townie Adams.
I love Townie.
Storm Simpson Storm was on there with him. We was just talking about Storm a while ago. We talk about Storm like every week. It's somebody that we know we want to have back on, and we've got. Anyway, there's that.
Tons.
Man, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
For taking
really
the time.
I appreciate you. I really do.
I want to thank Backyard one more time. 317, thanks for being out here,
thanks for having me.
Thank you, Melissa.
Melissa.
How about our engineer over there?
My beautiful wife over here.
Producer, is that what your official title is now? Producer, Melissa?
Have we determined?
Queen of everything.
The queen of everything.
That's a title we can't
Okay,
argue.
that's a little ambitious. Can we peel that back to like executive producer or something?
Queen of, we're gonna roll credits on this.
Queen
and
of
have
everything. So
Just
that's,
remember,
that's,
y'all, the
Jesus.
couple that plays together stays together. That's why I love to see you.
Wait,
over
wait,
here.
you're pointing at the wrong
we're
ones.
trying.
Well, I meant y'all. Well, I know you. Yeah,
We're trying. We're trying.
I just meant this team here. This team.
Oh
here.
no, sorry.
Yeah.
Get over here. Well,
Get your mind out of the gutter.
for Hello Texas, I'm Tim.
I'm Steve.
Hey, Jeremy Hart.
Bye,
Go on,
Texas.
Texas.